Guru Nation, welcome back. We are in the car. We just did some community outreach with a fellow nurse practitioner. You just met her.
I just met her first time.
Lindsay, we did a podcast with her for Yuma Clinical Trials, which is our site that we're leaving the parking lot right now to go get some water and stuff from the store. But Jaime Valle is my business partner. He's a nurse practitioner. We're talking about growing pains of a site. You're going to go through them. In many ways, we're lucky to be in this situation because some startups, they don't grow enough to have growing pains.
Yep.
So that's the way I've been looking at things, even though there's a million other things I'd rather be doing than fixing growing pains at a site. I've learned that I actually should be grateful for these opportunities because there are sites out there that don't have the fortune to be going through growing pains. So be careful what you complain of is something I tell myself a lot, even when I'm going through it. But that's why we're documenting the journey, and sometimes it's a struggle, even when you're doing good. But the NP that we talk to, every business owner's got their own struggles, and it usually is around growth and scale. And this is where the site networks kind of like the PE comes in, private equity, and the first things they look at is are these scalable, or is it all dependent on the owners?
Is it reproducible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're literally trying to answer those questions ourselves. We already knew the questions beforehand, so we've been proactive about it, but it doesn't happen overnight. Like to implement a good quality assurance program doesn't happen overnight, but we're getting there, and there are parts where the owners still have to get involved. Like you're still sub-I on every study, and I'm still the site director, and when there are problems, usually I have to step in on like the documentation stuff and things like that. But what are your thoughts so far? We're in year 4 now.
Year 4, wow, man.
Year 4.
Time's flying.
Yeah.
Yeah, time flies, yeah. Well, even in the regular day-to-day practice, like office, in the regular clinic, not research, there's still growing pains, still in research we might have an updated protocol, an amend to the protocol. In the regular clinic, you have the insurance changing their coverage on something or the inclusion for a medication. So there's always changes. There's always growing pains. There's always adjusting to the new processes. But also there's stuff that sometimes we just take it for granted. The easy, simple stuff that we know how to do it, that we do it. But like they always say, if it's not documented, it didn't happen. So there's stuff like what we're doing right now is stuff that was done, but it might not be documented. And I mean,
and little mundane things like when did you fax a request for a record?
Yeah. So that's that. And the good thing is for us is I don't think there's any patient safety issue, if you will. Like we follow the protocol and all of that. It's more on the technical part of it, or the logistic, if you will. The process itself. So it's always a learning opportunity that we got to learn to learn from our mistakes and every make an opportunity to learn or to improve from every storm, everything that might not be the best case scenario, but one, fix what's going on, and number 2 is like don't make it happen again.
Yeah, and really get the staff thinking in this mentality of if it's not documented, it didn't happen. Because in this situation, the issue is about a serious adverse event, which we did everything properly.
Yeah,
we even documented, but there's an extra reporting you need to do for the sponsor on a different portal, and on that we were kind of late on answering the queries, and we were not able to provide all the records they were expecting. We did provide records, so I'm going to go in there and actually look at the details, but they want to know, like, why couldn't you get the other records, and when did you request them, and what is acceptable reason versus what is not, which is like the nitty gritty of this individual sponsor's requirement, which is not GCP, by the way. Like, we're following good clinical practice, but some of the aspects, like you can say, well, if you don't know when you faxed a request for a record, you didn't document it properly, and that technically is not GCP. That's not Alcoa-C, because attributable, legible, contemporaneous, original, accurate, complete. But in the sense of, like, it's not a major issue, but if you do it enough times, or for something important enough to the sponsor, it's something that could trigger like a sponsor audit, and you don't want to get on the bad side of some of these sponsors are very good.
Yeah, I mean they're very good, and I mean that's what we're here for, to do our best too. And unfortunately, something that is missed in a regular day-to-day visit, it does not carry the same weight when there's like an adverse event, because that takes priority, you know, and sometimes it's just us on the side understanding the importance of all the documentation, of all adjudication of certain lab values or whatever it may be, you know. So yeah, it's just a similar thing that happens when there's an abnormal lab value that is special interest to that specific study. You do everything right and everything properly, everything's documented, but all of that has to go into the EDC on a timely manner, and then the time frames. If we pay closer attention, they usually want you to, you know, document or report something within 5 days or whatnot. But when it's something serious or an adverse event of a special interest or something like that, the time frame is shorter. They usually want like a day or two.
And this would be good because our site is not streamlined yet. We just have generalist coordinators, and sometimes they are very busy, other times they're not. But if you had somebody just doing regulatory at our site, and SUSARs, SAEs are part of regulatory, even though that's kind of a overlap, that person would be responsible. Even if they don't know the information, they would talk to the coordinator. Hey, it's my job to answer this, or it's my job to get the PI to answer this. What's the information? You would have had someone who doesn't see patients, just does regulatory, and ideally, if they're doing their job, they would be doing this. And the good thing about that role is it's scalable across geographies.
Yeah.
Because nowadays, most everything's electronic.
Yeah, I mean, it'll obviously have to be a site that it's a little bit bigger in size, you know.
Yeah. But we're almost there.
We're almost there, yeah. A site that it's like has a few studies going on. So, because it might not be, logistic-wise, it might not be a good move. I mean, it will be a great move, but money-wise, to have somebody just doing that, doing that kind of stuff when there's only a couple of studies within the clinic, right?
But now that we turn the corner,
now that we're getting busier, and the good thing is it's only a couple of things, you know, that's going on out of a bunch of studies that we have.
Yeah.
So our coordinators are doing pretty good. But it's always those little things. This is with the kids, you know.
And I would have the regulatory person probably do, like, when they're not busy, doing admin and pre-screening and things like that.
And then we have a quality person as well that's keeping on our toes, and a very experienced one at that.
Yeah.
So it's keeping everybody, you know, a little bit more on check.
The QA, yeah. And see, that's where, as the owner, you know, even though we have a QA person, and I'm letting her do the weekly meetings and stuff, it's my job still to tell her where to focus. And I just forwarded her 2 emails this morning, like, hey, we need a process for this. Look through our SOP, make sure we're following it little by little. But that's still where, like, I cannot replace myself yet on those things. But at some point, you could. The more you remove yourself, the better it is for the business for you to be working on growing it. Right now, we're working on kind of maintaining a quality benchmark, which is important too. But you're also not spending your time growing it.
Yeah, I mean, even if you remove yourself, you're still like supervising stuff.
Yeah.
You know, you're still involved.
The owner is never gonna get away like that until you sell it.
Yeah. And even if you sell it, you might still have to run it.
Yeah, contingent for 2-3 years. Yeah,
yeah, definitely. So, yeah, growing pains, learning opportunities. Don't ever let any crisis go to waste, or don't ever let
I like that.
any opportunity like not learn from it, and so that's really all we can do. At the end of the day, we're human too, and I think sponsors will expect some kind of mistakes, right? I mean, obviously, we don't want big mistakes,
If they said if they don't see mistakes, they think there's fraud.
There you go. That's the good way to think about from a sponsor's side, because there's always mistakes, even in the clinic and my day to day. Sometimes, I will tell a patient, "Hey, I'm gonna send you this medication," and I put the medication in. I just forget to click send just because I'm super busy or whatnot. And then the patient's calling, and it was like, "Hey, you didn't send me the medication." I was like, "I sure did." And I go look, I'm like, "I sure did not." Let me send it right now. And at that point, I was like, "Hey, I'm sorry, it didn't go through. I didn't push the button, but I'll send it right now." So as long as it's not something big, stuff, we should always like avoid the big stuff, the safety ones, But the data, the technical, sometimes it's a little clicks. And it's just like, I'm gonna do it right now. You get sidetracked and you thought you did, but you didn't.
But one of the side effects of consolidation and sophisticated site networks becoming more powerful is sponsors are starting to expect more and more from the sites. Yeah. So what we're going through right now used to be acceptable 5 years ago. Today it's not, and that's because, and this is what business is supposed to do. It's supposed to elevate the quality, of course. So they are streamlining everything, and they are figuring out, and then we're learning the hard way, like, hey, maybe we should consider that too. Yeah. And it's starting to make sense. We're at that turning point where it's like, you can argue both sides. It makes sense, doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And I agree with that. We're in that transition where yes or no. Unfortunately, we're losing one coordinator.
Yeah.
So we need to, and not because we're just losing it, just moving out of town.
We might need to hire 2 this time around and make one a regulatory.
So even if we hire somebody else, it will be to replace her, right? And then, as everybody knows in the industry, it's not like new hire that you train in a week and then they're on their own. It'll be a process. It'll take some time to.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think at this point, a quality like what we have already remote. So because all that can be done remote, it's a must. I think it's a good investment. Actually, even if you have only a couple studies, because if it's remote, it's somebody that they don't have to talk to every day to day. Because you know how people get a little hard feelings if you're telling them all the time, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. So if somebody remotely would have more, in a nice way, of course, but it'll have more, less of that friendship, if you will, attached to it.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great idea to do that.
You can hire a remote with the experience. Our first employee was actually Samantha Anderson.
Yeah,
if you remember. And
she was in Boston, or where did she
Harvard.
Go? Harvard, yeah.
And now she's like managing Dana-Farber, one of the cancer units.
Yeah. And she was remote.
She was doing data entry for us. She was doing regular. All this little stuff.
She was very good.
Very good.
Yeah, and when we say hire somebody remote, don't think it's gonna be full time. It takes them a few hours.
You can start with part time and grow into it, which is probably what we'll start looking to do here pretty soon. But yeah, man, we're just documenting the journey.
Yeah, definitely.
And we did some community outreach. Now we got to do some QA. That's right. You got to do probably some sub-by stuff. Probably I have to do something with that patient that's there.
Yep.
And wearing many hats.
Yeah, this is the way.
And growing the business,
of course. That's the goal.
Like, subscribe, comment, share. Stay tuned. Bye-bye. Oh, follow Jaime on LinkedIn. Bye-bye.